So in the Roebuck case, we're looking at a question that actually comes up a fair amount. Can you be guilty of third-degree murder under a theory of complicity? Now remember, complicity is not itself a separate crime. Conspiracy, the agreement to commit a crime, is a separate crime. So you can be convicted of both murder and conspiracy to commit murder, but complicity is merely a way of saying, under this theory, you are guilty of the crime of third-degree murder. So why is this at all problematic? Because under third-degree murder, you don't desire the particular result of death. But the question is, can you be guilty under this theory? Because the theory has language in it, or at least the statute that defines complicity has language in it that describes intent. So let's go to the language and look at it. So I'm going to share the screen. And here's our complicity statute. And we are looking at this particular prong C, that an accomplice is someone who, with the intent or promoting the offense, we'll highlight that in yellow, solicits such other person or aids or agrees to attempt to aid such a person in committing the crime. Okay, that mens rea speaks of intent. The crime of third-degree murder does not require intent. The crime of third-degree murder requires only the recklessness with respect to the life of another person. So then we look then at prong D. Prong D of this statute says, so when are you the accomplice of another? And this has a different story. This one says, when causing a particular result is an element of the offense, then if the person acts with the kind of culpability that is sufficient for the commission of the offense, highlight that in yellow, then the assister, the aider, the abettor can in fact be guilty of the crime. So what exactly does that mean? That's a fairly complicated thing. In essence, it means, can you help someone, assist someone in committing a crime that does not require intent itself? Can you assist someone in recklessly killing another person? And the court in Roebuck says yes. Now, first of all, let's lay out the argument that the defendant sets up. The defendant first looks at the statutory language, and he looks at prong C1, where he says the intent of promoting or facilitating the offense is fundamentally required to be an accomplice. And he also backs it up with some cases that talk about if you are going to attempt or solicit or conspire to commit the crime, that intent is required for those as well. But the court says those crimes of attempt, conspiracy, and solicitation, those involve different statutes. You've got to go to the complicity statute and look at prong D, which says culpability of the accomplice, that if this is a special type of crime, one that is defined by the result, and if you share the mens rea that's required for the conviction by the principal, then you can be guilty of the offense itself. So to make this real simple, if the crime is third-degree murder, and we take the screen share off, if the crime is third-degree murder, then if you have the mens rea of recklessness with regard to the life of another person, and someone else does the killing, you can be guilty of the offense of third-degree murder under a theory of complicity. So The concurrence in this case gives a great example of this. Let's say, a friend of mine and I are walking down the street, and I say to my friend, shoot that guy. I don't care if you kill him or not. He shoots him in the leg, and the person dies. My command to him to shoot does not include my desire to kill. Shoot him. I don't care if you kill him or not. But implicit in my command is my clear indifference to the victim's life. I am reckless with regard to the victim's life. And so the court in this case says, when you look at this somewhat confusing statute that initially says you have to intend the result to be an accomplice, but then offers this exception or this further clarification that if the crime involves a mens rea that defines the results, in other words, recklessness with regard to a death, then you can be guilty of the crime through a theory of complicity if you share the mens rea that is required for that ultimate crime. If you are reckless with regard to a death, and because of your actions, someone engages in a reckless act that causes the death, then you are guilty of that underlying crime. You have aided that crime by encouraging someone else to be reckless. Another way to look at this is, if you intend for someone to engage in the conduct, if you intend for someone else to be reckless, then you are guilty of the consequences of that other person's recklessness. So complicity is different than attempt, conspiracy, and solicitation, all crimes we're going to later look at, that do require you to desire the results. All you have to desire is the conduct that leads to a bad result. Third-degree murder requires recklessness and death. If you encourage someone else to be reckless and that person dies, or the victim dies as a result of the recklessness, you are on the hook for that other person's recklessness. That's the Roebuck case.